And you must be Laurie Partridge.
Susan Day was remarkable. She was, first of all, one of the most beautiful young women I'd ever seen. She lived in Mount Kisco, New York, and had been a big model there, a teenage model, and came to California for the first time. And suddenly, the acting talent was just automatically there.
I don't want to do this to you, but I do have a responsibility to my conscience.
She was basically created to be sort of a voice for her generation.
That's why this world is in such a mess.
They dealt with subjects like women's lib and equality and stuff like that. And in the beginning, she was this real advocate for the underdog.
It'd be a groovy way to find out exactly what's wrong with this country.
What?
Well, I'd be able to see all the injustices firsthand. And actually, I think they're fragmenting the revolution.
What's going on?
Laurie's protesting again.
So what's new?
She developed into a very good actress, and we would write it in a certain way that, if you noticed the first few shows, she basically reacted, which she did very well. And she reacted to Keith.
Well, look who's here. It's Harry Hollywood. Most mothers have to worry about drugs and violence. All your dingling son thinks about are girls.
But now that we're a hit group, we should make at least another half a penny a record.
How about a compromise?
What's your offer?
I'll buy you an ice cream cone.
What you see is relationships build. Certain combinations of people work, and then you say, oh, we'll write to that. How Danny developed. What kind of a kid was Danny going to be?
Well, what are we going to do about Danny?
Shirley, you better do something about Danny.
Danny was not the character the character was the same, but I'd not envisioned him looking like Danny. But what happened when you put him on camera, he had this innate sense of comedy, which is gold.
For my first number, I would like to grin at you. Mom!
Screen Gems tested a lot of episodes with audiences and found that those episodes with Danny rated a lot higher than episodes without Danny. So the network, thinking they had a gold mine in Danny, said to the producers, we want more episodes with Danny.
Why do you want to do this?
Because I have all the unmistakable earmarks of star quality.
We would have these script readings, and Danny would have trouble reading, and we never really understood what was going on until we discovered he was dyslexic. And we felt terrible about it, because here he's struggling to try and read his lines, learn his lines, memorize his lines, and we didn't even know he had that challenge.
But it was also discovered that I had very close to a photographic memory, so it was never an issue except at the table reads, where we'd read it for the very first time, and I had to just muscle through it. It was embarrassing, but then I'd come in and I'd know everybody's lines. And that got to be a thing. Like somebody, Shirley Jones, an Academy Award winner, would figure out her line, and I'd say, oh, well, this is where you say this.
I like you, Mr. Kinkade.
Thanks.
She hasn't developed a lot of taste yet.
Right before a scene, Dave Madden whispered in my ear, you know how we got these parts? And I said, no. And he said, look at Shirley and David and Susan. They're beautiful, and they just had too much beautiful. So they needed some ugly. So they got you and me. And that's how we got these jobs.
Danny, there's more to life than taking bows.
Not when you're an egomaniac with grease paint in your blood.
Danny was probably one of the most incredible young comedians that I've ever witnessed. He was a little brat a lot of the time, but he was young.
We don't smell very good.
What's wrong with you? You look like you swallowed a hockey puck.
I felt the show was getting dangerously close to giving people diabetes. So we wanted something that was a little acid in there, so we've got Reuben.
You members of some flaky religious group?
No, sir, I'm here to represent the Partridges.
And the connection between he and Danny really worked out.
Shirley, I'm here to register a complaint.
What is it?
Danny tried to tie a gag around my nose.
If he had been Trek's manager, he'd now be known as the world's greatest short order cook.
A lot of the good things that happened to me were because I grew up around Dave Madden. I think a lot of the bad things that happened to me were because I grew up around Dave Madden. The man's a raving lunatic.
The whole family's gone bananas. I need an ally. Where's Danny?
We were almost inseparable. You know, I don't know if I was the son he never had or the father I'd always wanted, but the bond between Dave Madden and I was really amazing, and I cherish it to this day.
You know, we think a lot alike.
I know. And sometimes it scares me.
What are you guys talking about?
Morals and values.
Without cramming it down people's throat, each show had sort of a moral about it.
You can't expect to go through life having things given to you. You have to work for what you really want. We never quite outgrow making mistakes.
Almost everything we know is learned by trial and error.
So it was a show that both the parents and their children could watch.
Tracy, don't put that drumstick up your nose.
Why not?
You don't know where it's been.
One of the great things about the relationship Shirley had with her kids is that she was their mother and she was the disciplinarian, but she also had a great relationship with them in that they could kid around with her. They could make her the brunt of their jokes.
Why don't we let Mom sing Laurie's part? Mom, have you flipped? Look, she's better than nothing.
I never claimed to be Sophie Tucker.
Who?
I actually felt bad for Chris and Tracy a lot of times because it was like their only line.
Welcome to Mae West's boudoir.
And the kids would say, who?
Who?
And then she'd say,
But don't expect Dinah Shore.
and the kids would say,
Who?
and it just got to be a running gag that they could be replaced with owls.
We always miss the fun.
The two younger kids, we gave very few lines to, because at that age they couldn't really handle a scene.
Jeremy was very young, you know, these were little kids, really. And I don't think he'd acted all that much, whereas Suzanne had. Suzanne had started acting when she was a baby. I mean, she did commercials and so forth. And Jeremy was just a little boy.
Is there something I don't know?
And so, unfortunately, we had to let him go after the first season.
Let's forget